Hey everybody, Erick Landon here again. Way too many JRPGs for the PSP. Too many. So here I am as usual to talk to you about 10 games that nobody knows. Well, a lot of you probably know a few of them, but a lot of people don't. So today is 10 games most unknown JRPGs for the PSP. And since there are way too many, of course there's gonna be a part 2. But for now, only 10. Let's begin. Number 10, Mystic Chronicles. I already covered this game on my Hidden Gems video, and it's also on my top 10 best JRPGs for the PSP, best turn-based RPGs for portable consoles, etc. So it's kind of a personal favorite. It's not like I'm a retro lover, but I really enjoyed the idea of making a retro look-alike RPG for some reason. It's got an amazing story, a great soundtrack, a friendly gameplay, and the typical graphics that represent the golden age of JRPGs. This game, however, is digital only. It came out originally for iPhones and was later ported by Natsume for the PSP and the PS Vita. The battle system is turn-based, as you can see right now, in a first-person view, like many traditional RPGs from the past. I seriously recommend playing this game. It's very good. Too bad we'll probably never see a physical release of it. Number 9, Sekai Hero Project on Losing Ranger vs Dark Dead Evil Man. Yeah, what a name, huh? You won't believe it, but this is actually yet another strategy RPG by Nipponichi Software, and even though it's quite different from games like Disgaea or Makai Kingdom, it really looks like them. Again, and as usual from this company, it's a dark comedy with a silly plot and chibi characters. But the thing here is the gameplay itself. You're this dude who goes into randomly generated dungeons all by himself, yeah, no party members in this game, in a quest to beat this evil man guy. I'm not sure I recommend this game, even though it has positive reviews. It's unknown probably because of its ridiculously long title and obnoxious gameplay. First, because you need to eat often. Yeah. Otherwise, you die. Yes, you die from starvation. And to make matters worse, it's not exactly an easy game or difficult, it's just way too repetitive and tedious. And also, read this. She's not kidding, it's the real deal. You die and go back to level 1. Jesus. Next is Monster Kingdom Jewel Summoner. This is one of the most boring JRPGs I've ever played in my life. It's not a bad game at all, it's actually good and I recommend it. So before you say that my statement makes no sense, allow me to explain. This is your typical game that looks cool when you start playing it, because the story, the characters and even the voice acting, which is pretty decent here, seem really interesting. When you get the gist of the gameplay and the battle system, well, the gameplay is your typical turn-based RPG, you belong to a group, you do missions, you explore dungeons, you fight battles, blah blah blah, the usual. The battle system, you control monsters, each one of your party members controls one and they are the ones who fight for you. Listen, I respect Pokemon, Digimon and all those other monster games I've talked about before in previous videos, but they are just not for me. If we add the fact that this game has one of those difficulty spikes every now and then, makes me literally toss it aside and get rid of it, which is exactly what I did considering this game is really rare and expensive, believe it or not. Just take a look at its current price and you'll be pretty surprised. Next is Chacon Dia, the Timeless Land. Well, I know it doesn't really look like an RPG, but it is. I say this not because of the retro graphics you see right here, which was more of a retro intent than Mystic Chronicles. No, the reason I say this is because the gameplay itself. Take a look at this. Have you ever seen a JRPG that plays like a 2D platformer? Ah, but the narrative, the story and character development, along with all those classic elements from a game of its genre, make it an action RPG. That and the fact that the developers themselves, Idea Factory, say the same thing, so trust me, it's an RPG. And something that you just can't miss. It's not that good of a game, but just for having a gameplay such as this is reason enough to give it a try and enjoy it for a while. It won't get you addicted to it, but it's still a really fun game to play. So do I recommend it? Yes, I do, because it's good. Adventures to Go, on the other hand, also published by Natsume, is not. This game, very much like Monster Kingdom, is also one of those games that start off really cool and interesting, but the more you advance on it, the faster that smile and excitement are wiped off your face. You are this arrogant kid who wants to be a mercenary and starts taking on quest after quest in order to achieve that. What? Were you expecting more? No! That's what the entire game is about! The same repetitive dungeons, the same lane design. Most quests are exactly the same. Some don't even make sense. It's seriously one of the most repetitive and dull games I've ever played in my life. If it wasn't for the battle system, which is really awesome, this generic titled RPG will be even more unknown than it already is. That and the lack of marketing, probably because they knew it was gonna fail miserably, are the top reasons this game fell into absolute obscurity. So if you're gonna buy it, make sure it doesn't cost you more than $10 or so. Because trust me, it's really mediocre. Next, we have Unchained Blades. Unlike the previous title, this one's actually really good. It looks original, but it's not. However, that's no reason to call it bad. Despite following classic cliches and typical standards from your everyday RPGs, this dungeon crawler in first person is one of those JRPGs that you're going to enjoy, probably play through the end, and then forget about it. I'm not saying it's absolutely forgettable, but it's not a great game either that you'll remember for the rest of your life. It also came out for the 3DS, by the way. Now, the reason why this game is unknown may be because the localized versions of it, both the 3DS and PSP versions, are digital only. So I'm thinking the marketing for it wasn't really that good. Pretty ironic considering this really interesting background it has. I invite you to Google this game, since it would probably take me an entire video to talk about it. Look, the point is that this JRPG is good. It has a cool story, nice characters, classic battle system, it's recommended, and lowly fan service. These guys never change. Next we have Aedes Eclipse, another one from a Generation of Chaos series. So here we have one of the most confusing, intricate and obnoxious JRPGs of all time. Massive military encounters, you got that right. They are so massive that you get lost in its massiveness, if that's a word. Extensive army customization, because you have tons of free times to go through all the enormous quantity of army development. Special skills, yeah, every single video game has those. Anyways, from Idea Factory, the same people who created the Spectral series and Chacon Dia, which I already talked about, comes this weird RPG. I'm gonna be honest with you, I couldn't understand fully this game at all. Nowadays, I still don't know how to properly play it. Considering almost every single title from this company is pretty unknown, it doesn't surprise me that this strategy RPG also belongs underground. I do believe, however, that if you manage to fully understand what the heck and how the heck are you supposed to play, you'll have a wonderful gaming experience. Otherwise, you're just gonna ditch it and say, next! Dungeon Explorer, Warriors of Ancient Arts. Have you ever played Phantasy Star Online or Phantasy Star Portable? Well, when you play this game, you'll notice the big similarities in terms of gameplay and battle system. Of course, this one has its own original and unique elements that make it stand out amongst those in my list. I think it's obvious why this game is really unknown, not because of the criticism it received, thanks to being often compared to Phantasy Star, not because of the name, which is not bad, but Dungeon Explorer just sounds really generic. Nah, it's because this game is a part of a series from the PC Engine with the same name, which is also very unknown, by the way. This game also came out for the Nintendo DS, but both versions were localized with the exact same name, even though in Japan they have different ones and are different games. So first, localization problems, and second, the very few mixed reviews it received. That's why this game is unknown. It may not be a great game, but it's okay. I mean, it's not good or bad, just, let's say, playable and enjoyable. Do I recommend it? Heck yeah, I do. Number 2 goes to Grooming, a monstrous adventure. Another game that, thanks to the stupid name, stayed hidden in total darkness. Too bad, since it's a pretty fun game. It's an action RPG, very similar to the Alondra series, but technically marketed for kids. It was released first for Windows, then for the PSP, Steam, and finally the 3DS. Known now as Grooming 3D and digital only. I didn't really become a fan of it, since I've always been more of a fan of games that are adult-oriented when it comes to stories also. And, well, I prefer games with allies. In Grooming, you're this little girl who, all by herself, wants to help restore a monster village that is apparently from another dimension. In terms of graphics and gameplay, this game reminded me heavily of Mega Man Legends. Anyways, it's not my kind of game, but I'll say this. If you're into cute designs, characters and stories of its kind, this might be a great choice for you. Finally, on number 1, Warriors of the Lost Empire. Very unknown, very. I covered this game in my Hidden Gems video where I mentioned how cool some of its factors seem to be. It's another action RPG with dungeon crawling elements, no party members, just you and your weapon and your skills. The gameplay, especially the battle system, is really good. The only thing that bothered me, and I've mentioned this before in other videos, is that I just don't think action RPGs are a good idea for portable systems. It's uncomfortable to play them every now and then, and you get tired of them pretty easily. So I think this game might have been better off released for a TV console like the PS2 or 3. But anyways, I think this is a pretty decent game, solid enough to be worth your time, but perhaps mediocre in the repetitive side, since the whole game is based on quests and mercenary growth, so you will be more inclined to play something else. But hey, if there's room for a nice change of pace, Warriors of the Lost Empire, even though being an extremely unknown JRPG with amazing art and some visual novel type dialogues, might be a good idea. Okay guys, that's my video, that's my list. Thank you for watching. As usual, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends. And stay tuned for part 2, it'll be in 1 month or 2 probably. And well, I'm looking forward to that. I hope you're looking forward to that too. See you next time.